Airline staff laugh at black woman's fake PSY status until the pilot recognizes her. At John F. Kennedy International Airport, a swirl of travelers rushes through Terminal 4, chasing connections and new horizons. But for Ella Johnson, an unassuming black woman clutching a VIP pass, the journey is about to take a startling detour. Airline staff greet her name with sneers and condescension, snickering at what they call her fake VIP status. As onlookers cast curious glances, Ella stands resolute, silently determined not to let prejudice deny her rightful place. Little do these gate agents know, Ella carries more weight than her modest demeanor reveals. And when a certain pilot recognizes her, the entire game flips fate, unleashing a wave of karma no one sees coming. Ella Johnson's heart fluttered with excitement as she stepped out of a taxi onto the bustling curb of John F. Kennedy International Airport. The late morning sun glinted off the airport's glass facades, and a constant undertone of rolling suitcases and blaring announcements filled the air. Ella was no stranger to travel, in fact. She flew frequently for her philanthropic work. But today's flight had an extra note of promise. She carried a special VIP pass issued by East Air, a rising airline known for forging partnerships with major humanitarian campaigns. Clad in comfortable yet professional attire, a navy blazer over slim black pants, Ella gripped the handle of her carry-on. She had no illusions about the path that led her here. Over the past decade, she'd built a reputation for championing education initiatives in underserved communities, forging ties with non-profits, and earning the respect of corporate sponsors. East Air had approached her to be an ambassador for their new Community Lift program, a partnership that aimed to provide discounted travel for students and volunteers worldwide. The VIP pass was both a courtesy and a practical tool. It granted Ella lounge access, seat upgrades when available, and direct lines to airline management for coordinating philanthropic flights. As Ella navigated the swirl of bodies inside Terminal 4, she spotted the East Air check-in counters with distinctive teal signage. The economy line wound in a serpentine queue, but the priority, the sixth lane, sat nearly empty. Ella approached with cautious optimism. She'd used the pass before, mostly without incident, but there were always those who doubted her authenticity based on appearance alone. A young gate agent, Sasha, according to her name tag, blinked in mild surprise at Ella's approach. Ella offered a polite smile. "Good morning. I'm flying to Los Angeles on East Air Flight 227. Here's my confirmation and VIP pass." She handed over her documents, including the special pass emblazoned with her name. Sasha scanned the pass, hesitating. Ella Johnson, right?" she asked, glancing at Ella and then at the pass again. "This is a VIP pass. Are you with the airline's executive team or—" Ella shook her head gently. "I'm a partner in their humanitarian outreach program. They gave me the pass for official travel and appearances." A flicker of doubt crossed Sasha's face. She typed something into the computer. "I see you're in row 3 business class. But, let me see if you're truly on the VIP list." The tone was polite, but carried an undercurrent Ella recognized all too well skepticism. Before Ella could respond, Sasha beckoned a second agent, Adam, who wore a supervisor's lanyard. Ella felt her stomach tighten. Please, let them process me quickly, she thought. She had lounge access to use before the flight, plus a phone call to a last sponsor. Yet the stirrings of tension hinted that this morning might not unfold so simply. Adam, the supervisor, joined the small cluster at the priority, the 6 counter. He was a tall, lean man with neatly cropped hair and the faint traces of impatience in his eyes. Sasha whispered something to him, gesturing at Ella's pass. Adam frowned, then turned to Ella with a tight smile. "Good morning, Miss Johnson," he said. "I understand you're claiming VIP status with East Air. May I see your pass again?" His tone was courteous, yet Ella sensed the suspicion beneath. She handed it over, keeping her expression neutral. "Why is it always so surprising to people that I have a legitimate VIP pass?" Ella had faced this question more times than she cared to recall. Instead of letting frustration show, she calmly recited, "I'm a philanthropic partner with East Air. The airline's corporate office issued this pass for me to facilitate organizing flights for educational volunteers." Adam flipped the pass in his hands like he was examining a counterfeit bill. "I see. And your flight to Los Angeles, is that for official or personal reasons?" Ella's jaw tensed. She was not obligated to share all her personal details, yet she responded politely. "A mix of both. I have a meeting with a potential sponsor for the Community Lift program, and I'm also visiting family. My pass is valid for either scenario, as per my contract with East Air." He typed at the terminal, retrieving Ella's reservation. "I do see a note about a philanthropic partner, but the system doesn't always reflect the correct status. Sometimes, well, we get people who claim VIP privileges that aren't valid." Ella pressed her lips together, forcing a smile. "I understand, but I assure you the pass is genuine. If there's any question, perhaps you could call the corporate liaison. She's well aware of my trip today." Adam exchanged a quick glance with Sasha, who shrugged. Then he turned to Ella, adopting a lightly patronizing tone. "Let me see if you're on the official VIP list. We have a memo about certain partners traveling, but it's quite unusual for someone outside the executive suite to get such robust privileges." The statement hung in the air, implying Ella was out of place. Ella mentally replayed the contract details with East Air. She was indeed granted advanced privileges. The pass was minted, so to speak, after she helped them secure a major philanthropic sponsorship last year. Sasha tapped her foot, clearly restless. Ella waited, phone in hand, wondering if she should text the corporate liaison. She also noticed a few other travelers in line giving her side eye, as if trying to puzzle out the hold-up. "Can't I just check in and go?" Ella lamented inwardly. Eventually, Adam gave a short laugh, like a half-baked apology. "Sorry about the hassle, Miss Johnson, but we can't locate your name on the daily VIP memo. Possibly an oversight. We'll keep looking." He turned to Sasha. "Let's hold Miss Johnson's check-in until we confirm with the corporate office. Meanwhile, we can process other passengers." Ella's heart sank. This was not the simple start she hoped for. Shunted aside, she was forced to wait as the staff served a line of new arrivals. Ella cast a glance at the overhead monitor's. Time was ticking. She had a lounge pass, but at this rate she might barely make boarding. The ominous sense of misjudgment pressed upon her. "They're treating me like an imposter. It might only get worse." After several minutes of tense waiting, Ella realized the check-in queue was not the only hurdle. Adam and Sasha were busy, occasionally eyeing Ella but making no apparent progress on verifying her VIP status. Time was drifting uncomfortably close to her flight's boarding. Ella decided to pivot and at least try to enter East Air's lounge, which her pass also granted access to. "Maybe the lounge staff can verify me quickly," she reasoned. She collected her incomplete boarding pass printout, still labeled pending, and headed toward the security lines. Ordinarily, with a properly recognized priority pass, she could skip the bulk of the security lines, but now all she had was an uncertain slip of paper. Ella mustered her patience, waiting in the standard TSA line. When she finally got through security, Ella hurried to the East Air Executive Lounge entrance, a polished set of glass doors tucked away near Gate 32. A small sign read "Admittance, First Class, Elite Members, and Special the Sixth Partners only." A knot formed in Ella's stomach. This was exactly the place she was supposed to be welcomed. But would they recognize her pass? Behind a sleek marble counter, a lounge attendant named Teresa greeted Ella. She offered a polite nod. "May I see your boarding pass and membership, please?" Ella produced her partial pass and the VIP card. Teresa's eyes flicked over Ella's partial pass. "We typically require a completed first class or business class boarding pass, Miss Johnson." She squinted at Ella's name. "Is your seat confirmed?" Ella explained the situation briefly. The desk was verifying her VIP status, and she had no final seat assignment yet. She also provided her corporate liaison's contact information. "I have a seat in business class, row 3. The check-in staff is just sorting out a glitch. My pass is official. Could you please call your lounge manager or corporate to confirm?" Teresa hesitated. "I might do that, but let me see if you're on our lounge access list first." She tapped away at her computer. Seconds passed, and Ella felt that same wave of dread. She recalled Adam's remark about Ella not appearing on the day's VIP memo. Would the lounge records be any different? Teresa frowned. "I'm not seeing Ella Johnson on today's VIP lounge list. I see some top-tier frequent flyers, plus a handful of corporate execs, but not your name. Are you sure you belong to an East Air corporate program?" Ella's chest tightened. "Yes, I'm certain. The airline's philanthropic division set this up. Please, I'm just asking for a call to confirm. I'm traveling on an East Air-funded philanthropic trip. If you speak to," Teresa cut in, her voice holding the slightest edge. "I'm sorry, Miss Johnson, but we have rules. Without a verified seat in business or first class, and without your name in our system, I can't grant lounge access. We have too many people trying to sneak in with fake passes. I hope you understand." Ella's face burned. She forced composure. "I see. Well, I guess I'll wait outside until my seat is verified." She felt humiliated, standing there with a pass the staff deemed fake. Passing travelers cast curious glances, some no doubt overhearing the exchange. Shouldering her carry-on, Ella stepped away from the lounge door. "They think I'm lying." Her frustration mounted. "I have to fix this, and soon." But her attempts at reason were hitting a wall of suspicion. Little did she know that the real drama was only starting, and that a certain pilot, soon to cross her path, would upend everyone's assumptions in spectacular fashion. Ella retreated to a quiet seating area near the East Air gates, scrolling through her phone for contact numbers. The airline's philanthropic liaison, Angela Park, was in a meeting according to Ella's earlier text conversation, but Ella left a quick voicemail. "Angela, it's Ella. I'm at JFK trying to board my flight to LA, but they won't accept my VIP status. Could you call or email the staff here to clear this up? Boarding starts soon, thanks." She ended the call, tension gnawing at her. Glancing at the overhead screens, Ella noted her flight EA 227 would begin boarding in 30 minutes. If no resolution came, she might lose her seat entirely. She sighed, standing to approach the gate area again. Perhaps Adam, the supervisor, had sorted it out. As Ella neared the gate, she overheard muffled laughter from behind the podium. Adam, Sasha, and a third staffer huddled around a phone screen. Ella caught fragments of their hushed conversation. "Did you see the pass? Looks so legit, but like we're supposed to believe, she's some VIP partner. Probably printed from the internet or something." Ella's cheeks grew hot. The staff was mocking her behind the desk, doubting her pass. She felt a rush of anger. Did they find this funny? To question a legitimate partnership that Ella had spent years cultivating through her philanthropic work. Her impulse was to confront them, but is that wise? Ella's instincts told her to handle it calmly. Escalating the situation with an angry outburst might play into harmful stereotypes. Still, the pang of injustice was deep. Taking a controlled breath, she stepped forward, clearing her throat. The staff jerked upright, quickly stowing the phone. Adam turned, a slight smirk vanishing from his face. Miss Johnson. Any update from your contact? Ella forced composure. I left a voicemail. She's in a meeting, but hopefully we'll hear soon. Are you absolutely sure there's no corporate note about me in the system? I have traveled with East Air before on this pass. It's genuine. Adam shrugged, eyes flicking to Sasha. We see no record, only a mention that Ella Johnson is a philanthropic partner, but nothing about lounge access or premium seating. Sasha interjected with a slight sneer. I wonder if Miss Johnson might be mixing up her pass with another airline's or an older, invalid pass. Ella bristled. The pass was newly issued 6 months ago, still valid for 2 more years. She answered calmly, It's not expired. If you search the philanthropic sponsor database, you'll see my name. Ella Johnson with the Ella's Future Scholars Foundation. Adam offered a half-apologetic shrug. We can't dig into that system from here. It's run by corporate. Tension crackled in the air. Nearby passengers cast curious glances. Ella lowered her voice, her fury building beneath her calm exterior. This is beyond frustrating. I hope you realize how humiliating it is to be treated like a fraud. I'm traveling for a cause that East Air publicly supports. The staff exchanged uncertain looks. Sasha muttered under her breath, something Ella caught as maybe she's scamming for a free upgrade. Ella's nails dug into her palm. She wanted to lash out, but she remained stoic. I'll wait a bit longer, Ella said, stepping back with forced dignity. She found a seat facing the gate podium, determined to keep eyes on them. If Angela doesn't call soon, I'll miss my flight. And this entire trip will unravel. Little did Ella know, an unexpected ally was about to enter the scene, a pilot who'd cross the terminal and shift the entire dynamic. Until then, Ella braced for more disbelief. The staff's quiet snickers continued, and Ella prayed that karma would strike soon. 15 minutes remained until boarding. Ella sat rigidly in her chair, scanning each incoming phone notification, hoping for a response from Angela. Nothing. The tension in her gut was palpable. Around her, travelers bustled, toting luggage and looking for seats. A few rummaged for phone chargers near the scarce airport outlets. Then Ella spotted a tall figure stepping off a shuttle bus from the tarmac side, a pilot in a crisp East Air uniform, flanked by 2 flight attendants. The pilot's uniform bore the insignia of a captain, the stripes on his epaulets gleaming under the bright terminal lights. He carried a flight bag casually over one shoulder. As he approached the gate podium, Ella noted he had a friendly, open demeanor. He greeted staff in passing with a warm grin. The name patch on his chest read Captain Daniel Brooks. Ella had never met him, but found something about his confident stride reassuring. Perhaps he was the flight's captain, come to finalize pre-boarding checks. Adam, Sasha, and the 3rd staffer quickly snapped to attention when they saw the pilot. Adam offered a handshake. Morning, Captain Brooks. Everything ready for flight 227? The pilot nodded, scanning the monitors behind them. Yes, we're set for an on-time departure. Just wrapped up the final checks with maintenance. He glanced around, then lowered his voice. Any issues here at the gate? Adam flicked his gaze toward Ella, who was within earshot. He shrugged. We have a passenger claiming CIP status. We're just sorting it out. Sasha rolled her eyes. She says she's some big philanthropic partner or something, but we can't find any record. We suspect her pass might be, well, questionable. Captain Brooks raised an eyebrow. Really? That's not common. Usually philanthropic partners are well documented. He turned to glance at Ella. Their eyes met for a second. Ella, feeling a flicker of hope, considered approaching to plead her case. But the pilot was already flipping open a tablet, presumably checking passenger manifests. Ella steeled herself. Rising from her seat, she took a few steps forward, inhaling deeply. This might be my only chance to talk to someone with real authority. Approaching the group, Ella said in a polite but firm tone, "Excuse me, Captain Brooks. I'm Ella Johnson. I hold a VIP pass through East Air's philanthropic division, but I've been stuck in a verification limbo. Could you possibly help clarify this?" Adam and Sasha exchanged telling glances, as if they expected the pilot to dismiss Ella. But to their surprise, Captain Brooks studied Ella closely. Ella Johnson. Ella's Future Scholars Foundation, correct? Ella's eyebrows rose. "Yes, that's my organization." A slow smile spread across the pilot's face. "I've read about your work. Didn't you collaborate with the MacArthur Education Fund last year?" Ella nodded, relief fluttering in her chest. "We sure did. It was a major project to build libraries in underserved communities." Captain Brooks turned to Adam and Sasha, a note of mild reproach in his voice. "Miss Johnson is quite well known in philanthropic circles. Surprised your system's not showing her. Could be a glitch." Adam coughed, stepping back. Sasha, suddenly flustered, typed furiously at the terminal again. Ella sensed a shift in the air. The pilot recognized her name. That single recognition threatened to topple the staff's smug disbelief. Ella exhaled quietly, gratitude mingling with vindication. "Finally, someone sees me for who I am." But was this enough to secure Ella's rightful seat and hush the mocking laughter? Ella wasn't certain. The next few moments would determine whether Captain Brooks' knowledge carried enough weight to override the staff's obstinate stance, and whether Ella's entire flight experience would turn from humiliation to well-deserved respect. Captain Brooks studied the VIP pass Ella produced, verifying the name and date. Meanwhile, Adam hovered behind the gate podium, seemingly trying to maintain authority. Sasha stood off to the side, crossing her arms as if reluctant to back down. Ella felt every nerve on edge, waiting for the pilot's verdict. Brooks handed the pass back to Ella. "This looks legitimate. The philanthropic division issues these to select partners. They might not have updated the staff memo. Miss Johnson, sorry for the confusion." A flush crept up Adam's neck. "Apologies, Captain, but we still have no official note in our system. We were just being cautious. We see people try to pose as VIPs for free upgrades." Brooks nodded, but his tone carried a hint of gentle reprimand. "That's understandable, Adam, but Ella Johnson's name is fairly well known. Also, the philanthropic division recently expanded. It's possible your memo is outdated. Let's not hold up a partner traveling for official reasons." Sasha cleared her throat. "Yes, well, if corporate didn't update it, we had no way to know." A quiet hush lingered. Ella sensed their reluctance to yield, but Captain Brooks's presence was clearly shifting the dynamic. Ella turned to him, voice measured. "Captain, I appreciate your recognition. My flight is departing soon, and I was hoping to use the lounge or at least check in without further delays." He smiled reassuringly. "We'd be honored to have you in the lounge, Miss Johnson. Let's finalize your seat, too." "We have you scheduled for business class, correct?" Ella nodded, relieved. "Row 3. "Yes, that was the plan." Brooks gestured to Adam. "Let's get Miss Johnson's boarding pass reissued properly, shall we?" Caught off guard, Adam stammered, "Sure, one moment." He tapped at the computer, printing a fresh pass with Ella's name and seat. The beep of the printer sounded like a clarion call of victory to Ella's ears. Sasha, lips pressed thin, handed the new pass over without meeting Ella's gaze. "There you go, Miss Johnson," Adam said. "Your seat is confirmed in business class, row 3. Ella accepted it quietly, deciding not to gloat. Inside, relief surged. This ordeal had been draining, but the pilot's intervention made all the difference. Thank goodness for his knowledge and fairness. Just as Ella thought the drama was ending, Captain Brooks added warmly, "Miss Johnson, if you have time before boarding, you can join me in the lounge for a quick coffee. I'd love to hear more about your organization. We're always interested in stories of how East Air's philanthropic programs help communities." Adam and Sasha exchanged startled looks, but Ella only smiled. "I'd be delighted, Captain. Thank you." They moved off together, leaving the staff behind. Ella didn't miss how Sasha's jaw clenched or how Adam scrolled the screen with renewed intensity, likely searching for the data they'd insisted didn't exist. Ella, for her part, felt a surge of gratitude and more than a little vindication. The staff's laughter over her so-called fake VIP status had been silenced. While Ella was never one to revel in comeuppance, she couldn't deny the satisfaction of seeing prejudice crumple when faced with truth. Captain Brooks guided Ella through the lounge's frosted glass doors, his uniform granting them quick entry. The same lounge attendant, Teresa, who had earlier denied Ella's access, spotted them. Her face flickered with recognition and confusion. She opened her mouth to speak, but Captain Brooks waved a friendly greeting. "I'll be responsible for Miss Johnson's entry, no worries," he said. Teresa hesitated only a second before nodding, letting them pass. Inside, the East Air Executive Lounge was an oasis of calm, plush chairs, soft lighting, and a buffet, with fruit, pastries, and a barista station. Ella was still on edge from the confrontation, but the environment offered some solace. Captain Brooks headed for the coffee counter, Ella at his side. He ordered 2 lattes, gesturing for Ella to choose a table. Once the drinks were ready, they settled into a quiet corner with a view of the runway. Planes glided in and out, their engines a distant hum behind the lounge's thick glass. So the captain began, leaning forward. "I'd love to know more about Ella's Future Scholars Foundation. I've read about your library projects, but how did you link up with East Air?" Ella sipped her latte, savoring the soothing warmth. "A year ago, East Air approached us, offering to sponsor flights for volunteer educators traveling to remote areas. We struck up a partnership. They gave me that VIP pass to coordinate travels, attend fundraising galas, and highlight East Air's role in bridging educational gaps." She paused, her expression turning pensive. "It's been great until now. Usually staff recognizes the pass, but this morning was humiliating." Brooks nodded understandingly. "I'm sorry you faced that. Sadly, not everyone reads the updated memos or believes them. Some people have preconceived ideas of who qualifies as a VIP. Ella's chest tightened. "Yes, exactly. I'm not new to prejudice, but it hurts that in an organization I've praised publicly, staff members mock me behind my back. They called me a liar. If you hadn't arrived, they might never have believed me." He drummed his fingers on the table. "I'll mention this to my colleagues in management. East Air prides itself on supporting philanthropic efforts, but clearly we have a training gap. People need to recognize the wide range of backgrounds our VIPs come from." Brooks offered a wry smile. "It's not always corporate suits and briefcases. Sometimes it's educators, grassroots leaders, people like you." Ella felt a surge of gratitude. "Thank you. I just want everyone treated with respect. The staff's assumptions nearly cost me my flight, and we have an important meeting in Los Angeles with a major potential sponsor." The captain's eyes lit up. "That's right. LA is an epicenter for philanthropic events. If you don't mind me asking, what's the sponsor's name?" Ella answered carefully. "The name is Redwood Foundation. They're looking to fund a big expansion of our library program in the Southwest. We have a site visit scheduled. Missing this flight would have been a disaster." Captain Brooks nodded sagely. "Let's make sure that doesn't happen. I'll personally see that you board without further issue. In the meantime, enjoy your coffee, take a breather. You deserve it after this morning's fiasco." Ella exhaled, tension easing from her shoulders. She cast a glance around the lounge, noticing how staff politely avoided her gaze now that she was seated with the pilot. Life can be twisted. One moment, you're an outcast. The next, you're in the captain's company. She took another sip, determined to find calm before the next leg of her journey. The minutes in the lounge passed swiftly. Ella told Captain Brooks a few personal anecdotes about how her non-profit started, the early challenges, and how East Air's partnership helped. He listened intently, occasionally chiming in with supportive remarks about the airline's philanthropic aims. A subtle hush fell around them as other lounge guests noticed Ella chatting amiably with a uniformed pilot. Some, Ella guessed, must have been curious about her identity just an hour earlier. Staff questioned her presence. Now, she was evidently an insider. Ella tried not to let the stares bother her. Focus on the positive, she reminded herself. When Ella excused herself to use the restroom, Captain Brooks offered to refresh their coffee. She walked across the lounge, weaving between plush chairs. She overheard a brief snippet from two travelers speaking in hushed tones. "Is that the pilot with her?" "Yeah, guess she's someone important after all." The second speaker gave a low chuckle. "She sure didn't look like any VIP to me earlier." Ella's heart twinged. "Didn't look like any VIP," they said. It was the same old prejudice, a presumption that a certain appearance connotes wealth or status. Ella pressed her lips together, reminding herself that she was forging her own path. No matter how many people whispered, her credentials and achievements spoke volumes. Returning to the table, Ella found Captain Brooks with 2 fresh cups of coffee, though they hadn't asked for them. "I saw you heading to the restroom," he explained, "so I took the liberty of grabbing you another cappuccino." The barista recommended it. She smiled. "Thank you, Captain. That's very kind." He lowered his voice. "I overheard some lounge staff mention you. Don't worry, I shut them down," politely said. "You're a recognized philanthropic partner and a highly respected figure." They seemed embarrassed. Ella's cheeks warmed. "I appreciate that. I guess no matter how many articles or public statements exist about Ella's future scholars, some folks need face-to-face proof." Brooks nodded. "Public perception is fickle. People often rely on stereotypes, especially in airline settings, where VIP typically conjures up an image of older, white businessmen in suits. Our staff must learn the world doesn't revolve around that one image." He paused. "Your story, your success deserves respect." Ella touched the rim of her coffee cup, absorbing the quiet sincerity in the pilot's words. For all the negative experiences earlier, here was a moment of genuine human connection. The tension eased a notch further. Not everyone in East Air is like Adam or Sasha, she reminded herself. An overhead announcement chimed, prompting travelers that Flight 227 to Los Angeles would soon board. Captain Brooks checked his watch. "That's our cue. I'd better get to the cockpit. But I'll make sure the gate crew knows you're cleared to board with priority." Ella nodded, gathering her things. "Thank you again, Captain. Without you, I'd still be stuck." He stood, giving her a warm handshake. "We appreciate all you do. Safe travels well. I guess I'll be seeing you on board." Let's show the world what East Air's partnership can accomplish. With that, Ella followed him out of the lounge. The sense of impending confrontation had faded, replaced by gratitude and a renewed determination to represent her foundation boldly. In mere minutes, Ella would join the boarding line for her rightful seat this time, hopefully with no one sneering at her fake CIP status. Approaching gate 42, Ella observed a moderate queue forming. The overhead screen flashed, Flight 227 to Los Angeles, now boarding. With her freshly printed boarding pass in hand, Ella joined the priority line. She noticed Adam and Sasha again behind the podium. Both wore forced smiles. Ella's pulse quickened, anticipating some last-minute drama, but Captain Brooks had promised he'd smooth the way. Sure enough, Sasha cleared her throat as Ella reached the front. Her eyes darted to Ella's boarding pass, then to Ella's face. Adam stood nearby, fiddling with a stack of zone announcements. Ella braced for more snide remarks, but to her surprise, Sasha offered a minimal nod. "Welcome aboard, Miss Johnson," Sasha said, scanning the pass. The beep sounded, signifying a valid pass. Ella felt a wave of relief. No further questioning, no smirks, just a faint tension, as though Sasha was swallowing her earlier disbelief. Ella stepped down the jet bridge, determined to enjoy the flight despite the rocky start. The plane was a wide body, with East Air's distinctive turquoise seats in business class. Ella found seat 3A, stowed her carry-on in the overhead bin, and slid into the comfortable seat. She exhaled, running a hand over the plush headrest. Finally, I can exhale. A flight attendant named Melissa approached, offering a tray of drinks. "Welcome, Miss Johnson. Would you like sparkling water or orange juice?" Ella accepted water, noticing the friendly tone clearly. Captain Brooks had alerted the cabin crew of Ella's the sixth status. What a difference from earlier staff, Ella mused. As more passengers boarded, Ella observed the subdued hush typical of premium cabins. People placed laptops in seat pockets or rummaged for magazines. She spotted a Hollywood actor settling in a few rows ahead. Farther up, Ella glimpsed Mr. Caldwell, presumably a frequent flyer, wearing noise-cancelling headphones. She had no illusions that everyone in business class might question her presence. But at least now, she had official recognition on her side. Moments later, Captain Brooks' voice came over the PAR system. "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Captain Daniel Brooks, welcoming you aboard East Air Flight 227 to Los Angeles. Our flight time is about 5 hours, with mostly clear skies ahead. A special thanks to all our philanthropic partners traveling with us today." Ella felt a small smile tug at her lips. The captain's words felt partly aimed at her. As the cabin door closed, Ella settled in, adjusting her seat for takeoff. She recalled the staff's laughter and the humiliating wait. A surge of pride filled her. Despite it all, she persevered, refusing to let prejudice derail her mission. She thought of the Redwood Foundation meeting in LA and felt renewed purpose. She'd see this flight through, arrive and finalize a major sponsorship that might change thousands of children's lives. For Ella, the real victory wasn't personal pride. It was the knowledge that every step forward carved a path for others. If her presence in a seat labeled SIG-IP challenged someone's narrow definition of who belongs, so be it. She was here, and that was all that mattered. The plane lifted gracefully from the runway, ascending into a crisp blue sky. Soon after reaching cruising altitude, the seatbelt sign blinked off. Ella felt the typical relief of being airborne. No more gate fiascos, at least for a while. She looked forward to a meal and perhaps a quick nap, hoping to arrive in Los Angeles refreshed. Within 20 minutes, flight attendants served beverages and distributed warm towels to the business class cabin. Ella accepted a cup of herbal tea, letting the steam soothe her nerves. The cabin felt calm, yet Ella's mind swirled with thoughts, her foundation, the Redwood Foundation meeting, and the morning's confrontation. "I can't let this overshadow the real reason I'm flying," she reminded herself, focusing on the philanthropic tasks ahead. Then, from the corner of her eye, Ella noticed a passenger approach. It was a woman with a bright red carry-on slung over her shoulder. She paused near Ella's row, her gaze flicking to Ella. "Excuse me, Miss Johnson." Ella looked up, curiosity piqued. "Yes, that's me. Can I help you?" The woman offered a polite smile. "I'm Tisha Carter, a volunteer teacher with Bridges Abroad. I recognized you from our newsletter. Ella's Future Scholars once sponsored my ticket to Kenya 2 years ago. I just wanted to say thank you for the work you do." Ella's eyes lit up. "Oh, wow." Tisha, right? I remember your group's photos from Nairobi. You taught math in that rural community, correct? Tisha beamed. Yes, exactly. Ella's future scholars provided half the airfare. It was a life-changing experience. So, seeing you here is amazing. I never expected to meet you in person. Ella felt warmth flood her chest, the morning's frustrations receding momentarily. I'm glad it helped. That's precisely why we partner with airlines like East Air, so teachers like you can do meaningful work without insurmountable flight costs. Tisha nodded enthusiastically. Well, keep doing what you're doing. I just wanted to say hi. We're actually heading to LA for a debrief with a potential new sponsor too. After a brief chat about philanthropic goals, Tisha moved back to her seat in the economy cabin. Ella returned to her tea, eyes misty with gratitude. This is the reminder I needed the real reason behind everything. Sometime later, the flight attendants rolled out meal service. Ella selected a grilled salmon dish, soon savoring the aromatic herbs. As she ate, she noticed a faint commotion up in the galley area, some flight attendants whispering, glancing at Ella. A part of her wondered if it was more talk about her questionable VIP status. But she also spotted Captain Brooks, stepping out of the cockpit momentarily, conversing with them quietly. Moments after, the same flight attendant, Melissa, approached Ella. She wore an apologetic smile. Miss Johnson, the captain asked me to ensure you have everything you need. He also wanted to say he's sorry about any trouble earlier. We're grateful for your partnership with East Air. Ella smiled gently. Thank you. I appreciate the courtesy. She returned to her meal, reflecting on the odd swirl of negativity and positivity that formed this flight's narrative. She was singled out as a fraud at the gate, but recognized by volunteers and validated by the pilot's word. The journey was far from over. Ella sensed that the real moral of the story, how we treat each other, how we judge by appearances, still had a chapter or two left to unfold. As the flight neared its halfway point, Ella slid the window shade open, gazing down at a patchwork of farmland and winding rivers. The peaceful view contrasted sharply with the morning's gate-side chaos. She felt calmer now, resolved to let East Air's management handle the unprofessional behavior from earlier. I have bigger fish to fry like Redwood Foundation, she told herself. Midway through reading over Redwood's proposal, Ella heard a shuffle in the aisle. She glanced up to see the flight attendants assisting an older woman who looked pale and shaken. An announcement soon followed. If there is a doctor or medical professional on board, please press your call button. Ella tensed. She wasn't a medical professional, but she worried for the passengers' well-being. A man in business class reached for the call button, indicating he was a doctor. The cabin buzzed with tension. Ella noted Captain Brooks himself peeked out from the cockpit door, checking if the situation was under control. The flight attendants prepared an oxygen tank. Within minutes, the crisis subsided. The older woman appeared stable, propped in her seat with a mild oxygen flow. The doctor nodded, reassuring the staff that she was out of danger. Ella exhaled relief. No medical diversion was necessary. The flight resumed its subdued routine. Interestingly, Ella spotted Adam, the supervisor, from the gate stepping into the cabin from the jump seat area. She hadn't realized he'd boarded the plane. He approached the front rows, scanning for something. Ella felt her pulse quicken. Why is he here? Adam caught sight of Ella, his face flicking with discomfort. He hesitated, then came forward. Miss Johnson, he said quietly. I needed to be on this flight anyway for a shift rotation. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for how things went at the gate. Ella measured her response. I appreciate you saying that, Adam. It was an unpleasant experience for me. He nodded, swallowing. We've had issues with folks forging passes. I guess I was too quick to lump you in with them. The pilot set me straight. Ella studied his expression, contrite yet uneasy. He's not used to apologizing, she thought. I'm grateful for your words, but it wasn't just suspicion. I overheard laughter, references to a fake VIP. That was hurtful. Adam bowed his head, face reddening. Yes, I know. It was unprofessional. If you like, I can help expedite any lounge access in the future, or talk to the philanthropic division about better communication. Ella considered the offer. He seemed genuine enough now, but the damage was done. Thank you, Adam. I hope next time you'll remember that VIPs can come from all walks of life. He gave a stiff nod, stepped back, and returned to the galley. Ella took a slow breath, letting the tension diffuse. The apology felt like a small step, but her heart still twinged from the memory of staff's sneers. Yet, she recognized it as an example of karma at work. Adam, once so sure Ella was a phony, now forced to face her authenticity in front of the entire cabin crew. The seatbelt sign flickered on, hinting at a pocket of light turbulence. Ella adjusted her tray table, preparing for the last few hours of flight. Perhaps this day can end in a measure of redemption for all involved. The final stretch of the flight passed in relative calm. Ella finished reading Redwood Foundation's proposal, scribbling notes in the margins. A flight attendant cleared away the meal tray, offering Ella a warm smile. Ella responded with courtesy, determined not to let a few staffers overshadow the entire airline. As the plane initiated its descent, Ella felt a thrum of anticipation. Los Angeles beckoned, sun-soaked boulevards, a tangle of freeways, and her crucial meeting with Redwood. She gazed out the window again, seeing the sprawling cityscape emerging from the haze. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Brooks," came the overhead announcement. "We'll be touching down at LAX shortly. On behalf of East Air, I'd like to thank you for flying with us. And a special thanks to Ella Johnson of Ella's Future Scholars for her continued partnership with East Air's philanthropic mission." Ella's cheeks warmed as a soft wave of murmurs swept the cabin. She glimpsed the flight attendant, Melissa, grin in Ella's direction. Clearly the captain's public recognition was meant as a subtle apology. Ella appreciated the gesture. Once the plane parked at the gate, Ella collected her carry-on. She lingered in her seat momentarily to avoid the usual jostle of disembarking. As passengers filtered out, Ella spotted Tisha, the volunteer teacher, giving a small wave from afar. Ella waved back, making a mental note to follow up with her for future collaborations. Finally stepping into the jet bridge, Ella inhaled the warm California air that crept in from the open doorway. She had limited time to meet Redwood's representatives, but she felt confident now, buoyed by the sense that justice, at least partial, had been served. Just as she emerged into the terminal, Ella almost collided with a familiar face, Angela Park, East Air's philanthropic liaison, rushing from the arrival side. Angela's eyes widened, relief flooding her expression. "Ella! I tried calling you. Sorry I missed your earlier voicemail. I was in a meeting. Heard there was an issue at JFK?" Ella nodded, letting out a tired laugh. "You could say that. They nearly refused to acknowledge my VIP pass. The pilot recognized me and intervened, thank goodness. Or I'd have been stuck." Angela's face fell. "Oh no, I had no idea. Corporate never forwarded me any alert about your flight." "That's so embarrassing. I planned on greeting you here to confirm details for the Redwood meeting." "Are you all right?" Ella shrugged, a mix of relief and lingering annoyance swirling. "I survived." The staff apologized some, grudgingly, but it was humiliating. "We'll need to discuss bridging the communication gaps." Angela nodded fiercely. "Absolutely. Let's do that. The Redwood folks are eager to see you. I booked a private car so we can talk on the ride over." Ella's shoulders relaxed. She'd made it after all the turmoil. Together, they walked toward baggage claim. Ella recounted the pilot's role, the lounge fiasco, and the staff's mocking words. Angela took notes, promising to escalate it to East Air's top brass. Ella felt a measure of closure and the satisfaction that her next moves in LA might overshadow the morning's negativity with real progress for the kids who needed it. 2 days later, Ella found herself in a glass-walled conference room at Redwood Foundation's downtown Los Angeles office. The meeting had gone splendidly. Redwood agreed in principle to fund Ella's library expansion in 3 southwestern states. All that remained were logistical details. Ella could barely contain her joy. Thousands of children would have better access to books and educational resources. Yet, amid the success, Ella couldn't help replaying the airport fiasco in her head. She'd been finalizing Redwood's partnership at night, while by day she fielded calls from East Air's senior management. Angela, the philanthropic liaison, had demanded a full internal review. Ella learned that Captain Brooks had filed a brief account with the airline about the gate staff's behavior, praising Ella's calm handling of the situation. She sat alone in Redwood's plush waiting area, waiting for a final handshake with the Foundation's CEO. Her phone buzzed. An email from East Air's Public Relations Department. "We deeply regret any inconvenience or disrespect you experienced. We are retraining relevant staff to ensure future VIP guests are properly recognized. Captain Brooks will receive a commendation for his extraordinary assistance." Ella read the lines, feeling a mixture of relief and exasperation. "This is good, but I hope they fix their biases for real," she thought. Her phone buzzed again. Another message, this time from Tisha, the volunteer teacher on her flight. Tisha wrote a heartfelt note, wanted to say thanks for the short talk. "You inspired me again. Good luck with Redwood. And sorry you had to face all that nonsense at JFK." Ella smiled, replying with a quick thank you. Sometimes the smallest gestures reminded Ella why she fought so hard. Shortly after, Redwood's CEO, a gracious older woman named Marjorie Kim, emerged from her office. "Ella, come right in," she said, beaming. Ella followed, exchanging final pleasantries and signing a preliminary agreement. In that moment, Ella felt the weight of the morning fiasco slip further away. The future of Ella's future scholars glowed bright. Redwood's funding would help them expand into new territories, forging more library projects, more teacher flights, more chances for underserved children. As Ella left Redwood's building, the Los Angeles sun beamed overhead. She drew a long breath. "Despite everything, I made it." She recalled Adam, Sasha, the lounge attendant, the whispered laughter. Karma had manifested in the form of Captain Brooks, the pilot who recognized Ella's name and contributions. A single moment of recognition toppled prejudice and forced an apology. Ella thanked whatever cosmic alignment brought him to that gate. Returning to her hotel, Ella typed a quick reflection in her personal journal. "Never let small-minded gatekeepers shape your destiny. If your credentials are real, if your work is genuine, the truth will out." She smiled, recalling the wide grin Captain Brooks wore when he praised her philanthropic partnership. Indeed, Ella's presence on that plane wasn't just about her seat, it was about exemplifying how a single traveler, armed with authenticity, can dismantle stereotypes and pave the way for better days ahead. Back in New York a week later, Ella found herself at an East Air corporate function, a small celebratory reception for the Community Lift program. She had been invited to share success stories from Ella's future scholars. The event took place in a sleek corporate lounge, ironically not far from the same airport lounge that initially denied her entry. Captain Brooks was there, sporting an off-duty blazer instead of his uniform. He grinned when he saw Ella, shaking her hand warmly. "Looks like we meet again under happier circumstances." Ella returned the smile. "Indeed. Thank you for your help last week. Redwood signed on for a major expansion." So many kids will benefit. He nodded. That's great news. And I heard from corporate that they've implemented new training protocols. Gate agents are now required to cross-check philanthropic VIP statuses more efficiently. Hopefully, no one else will face the fiasco you did. Across the room, Ella spotted Adam, lurking near a buffet table. He caught her gaze, offering a small, apologetic wave. Ella inclined her head in acknowledgement. She harbored no lingering vendetta. Her success was enough. I hope he's learned not to judge a book by its cover. Angela, the philanthropic liaison, took the microphone at the front of the room. Welcome, everyone, to East Air's Community Lift Reception. We're here to honor those who help us bridge philanthropic missions worldwide. And tonight, we highlight Ella Johnson, whose foundation has touched countless lives. She gestured for Ella to join her. Ella stepped forward, heart thudding. She delivered a brief speech about her foundation's vision, bridging educational gaps, forging community ties, and how East Air's flights made it possible for volunteers and resources to reach remote corners of the world. She didn't mention the gate fiasco. Tonight was about the bigger picture. But Ella saw a few staffers shift uncomfortably, likely recalling the episode. She ended her talk with, "Together, we can ensure that every child has the opportunity to learn, grow, and realize their potential. Thank you for standing with us." Thunderous applause filled the lounge. Ella's eyes glistened. She felt the swirl of emotions, pride, relief, and the knowledge that at least some good had come from this airline's partnership. Afterward, multiple staff members approached, praising Ella's speech, asking how they could volunteer or donate. Captain Brooks clinked a glass of sparkling water with Ella's, quietly saying, "I heard talk that East Air's higher-ups might invite you to join the advisory board for philanthropic outreach. They need someone with real field experience." Ella's breath caught. "That's an honor. If they ask, I'd gladly consider it." He grinned. "Then keep your phone on. I bet they'll call soon." As Ella mingled further, the memory of staff laughter at her fake status felt distant, replaced by genuine respect. Karma had run its course, revealing Ella's authenticity for all to see. In this moment, Ella allowed herself to relish the victory, not just for her personal pride, but for the countless individuals and communities that would benefit from her collaboration with East Air. The path forward indeed looked brighter, paved by perseverance, truth, and the unwavering conviction that everyone, regardless of background, deserves a seat at the table and on the plane. Thank you for following this compelling journey, where a humble but determined traveler clashed head-on with gateside prejudice and triumphed. Ella Johnson's The Six Credentials may have raised skeptical eyebrows at first, but her perseverance, along with a timely intervention by Captain Brooks, revealed her authentic standing. Through humility, rightful indignation, and an unwavering sense of purpose, Ella showed how quiet resolve can topple even the most entrenched biases. If her story inspired you, please tap the like button, share it with friends who believe in equality and compassion, and subscribe to this channel for more real-life dramas. Your support helps keep these stories alive, reminding us all that respect, truth, and a little bit of karma can help rewrite the narrative, one seat at a time. Thank you for watching, and may your next flight be a testament to understanding and open-mindedness.